Hello. First off, new camera angle. I was going to record an art video earlier for my other channel, and I can't be bothered resetting up my camera, so new angle. Also, if I look there, I'm looking at my camera. I'm looking at my screen. Anyway, okay, so it's currently 10 to midnight. I didn't forget to make a video today, I just didn't really think of anything to talk about until I was rewatching Merlin, the BBC programme. Now, I watched this when I was younger, like when it was first on, which, I don't know, was I like 14? Something like that. And I've sporadically, I think I started to rewatch it like about 6 years ago maybe, but I've not watched it since then. And a lot's happened since then, and in the past sort of 4 years or so, I've done a lot of growing, and I'm more aware of like things, which I'll get into in a second. This video is going to be really weird, by the way, and probably different to the other videos because I'm kind of just, it's related to mental health and like the effects of things, but it stems from me watching Merlin, and I have my art channel and this doesn't really fit there, so I thought I'd put it here because it's kind of a vlog. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just rambling to the camera because there's no one else to talk to right now. Okay, so I'm watching Merlin. I'm 10 episodes in, and something has been really interesting to me that my opinion has changed on one specific character. I'm going to say spoilers, but like the show's really old. If you've not watched it, you're not going to, but this is your spoiler warning. So in Merlin, there is a character called Morgana. Morgana is Uther Pendragon, the king's ward. Her parents died and he looked after her, right? That's the general setup. And I now know, because I've seen everything, that she is actually A, Uther's daughter, B, her mother, I think, was a witch, or at least magically inclined. I can't really remember, but anyway, she's actually very powerful. She just doesn't know it yet. The point is, she's showing signs of magic in terms of being a seer, as in she can see the future when she dreams. And it's so interesting to see how specifically Uther affects her turning to the dark side, as it were. She eventually goes against the king and Arthur Pendragon and all that kind of stuff, and against Merlin. She's effectively the bad guy. And when I was younger and I watched it, I thought, oh, how could she betray them? You know, she's a terrible person, she's a really bad person, she's evil. And it's funny because really, she's just a victim of abuse. As someone who's been through abuse, that really resonates with me. And it's funny, I've always thought that when you've been through abuse or you've been bullied, which they're basically the same, in the same realm, one's just much more serious than the other, you either end up two ways. You either become the bully / abuser, or you become the victim. You either really empathise with people. This is what I found, at least. You either really empathise with people and you understand other people's plights because you've been there, so you become more of a caring person. I can't think of the word. There's a word I'm specifically looking for and I can't think what it is. Or to almost get back at the people who hurt you, you then hurt other people, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And I realised that's what Morgana ends up doing. She has this whole path out of her that if things had gone differently, her and Merlin, the main character, who is also extremely gifted with magic, you've probably heard of the wizard Merlin, and it's almost sad, actually. There's some things where, like, she thinks she's going crazy, right? And Merlin is aware that she has some element of magic, but he can't say anything to her because he's scared that she will out him, and obviously, well, magic is banned in Camelot, so he's scared that he'll die or she'll die or whatever. Gaius, the court physician, who is Merlin's mentor slash father figure, is also aware of her magic, and he doesn't say anything. I don't think Uther's aware. I can't remember specifically if he's aware that her mother was magical, but for example, he definitely knows that he's her dad. He knows that, and he keeps that from her. And not only that, he threatens her on multiple occasions. Like, there was a scene in the last episode I just watched where she is protecting this child. This child has magical abilities, but he's just an innocent child, and Uther wants to kill him because he heard her magic. And in her being defiant and trying to protect the boy, Uther literally takes her by the throat and pins her against this chair thing, like a big wooden chair, right? The point is, he pins her against this. And he's saying how, like, even this innocent child deserves to die. This child, who's like 10 or something, regardless of whether he's ever done anything bad or good in his life, no matter what, slight bit of magic, kill him, right? So, can you imagine someone, especially someone who's lost her parents and is supposed to be protected by her father figure, Uther, and she's being told that she is wrong. He's not directly telling her that because she doesn't know about her potential magic, but that's what his actions say to her. And he acts like it's such a betrayal when she betrays them. And it's like, he set it up the whole time. And something else that caught my attention is, this is obviously, it's all magical based and all that kind of stuff, but it's still about abuse, like at its core. And it's not just about abuse. If you boil it down, father figure A hates Thing. Daughter is Thing, but doesn't know, but the father doesn't know. Father is bigoted and hateful about the Thing, so the child sees that, internalises it, and basically feels like she's crazy. She starts to hate herself, all kinds of terrible things, and eventually she becomes into herself, defies the father, and is her true self, right? She ends up being evil, but that's irrelevant. The point is, if you think about it from well, at least from my point of view, I've known I was bisexual, pansexual, it doesn't really matter anymore. I'm attracted to anyone, really. It doesn't matter what they've got between their legs. People are hot. End of story. And I grew up with gay being a negative word. I used it. I mean, I didn't know when I was younger really what it meant. It was just, oh, that's gay. But it ate away at me. And it ate and ate and ate. And I've always, in myself, accepted myself, but I never really shared my sexuality with anyone until I met my friend Jess, and this was well into university. You know, and it's funny how people don't think about their actions. And I'm not blaming anybody per se, but just certain people, parental figures, family figures, have made an off-colour joke, or, oh, he's a bit poncy, that was another word. Someone's a bit flamboyant, you'd call them a ponce. Sounds like, because they ponce? I don't know, I don't even know what it means really. But I internalised that, and I was so scared about telling people that I liked not straight people, I liked more than men, that I kept it to myself for ages until I met Jess, who's I think she identifies as bisexual, and I felt safe, you know, and I'm watching this and I'm having like an existential crisis, and all I wanted to do was play Elder Scrolls Online and watch Merlin on my other screen, and it's such a... This is a super rambly video and I don't even know how long it is, but I think what I'm trying to say, if I can boil it down to something, is I feel that, I don't have a word for it, but being aware of your mental state and what has led you to that point, it's a blessing and a curse. Because like, 10, 15 years ago, whenever the hell I first watched Merlin, I was not aware of my mental health. I was not aware of what was affecting me. I just existed. So I watched Merlin and I absorbed it as it was. And now looking back at it, I see it in a completely different light. It's not Merlin specifically. I do this with a lot of things. It's just Merlin is, I'm currently watching it. And it's crazy. I sometimes sit and I question to myself, would I rather live blissfully ignorant? And I used to, or I wrestle with it a lot, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. But I watched something, I think it was yesterday, that really changed my perspective on being aware of your, how do I put this? Being aware that how you've been affected and your trauma, yes, it greatly affects you, and you're not a burden to anybody, but you also can't let the trauma that happened to you hurt other people. So I watched the programme Afterlife, which is by Ricky Gervais, who I greatly admire. I think he's very funny, and I just like the way he thinks. Anyway, it's on Netflix. Now this is a spoilers, big huge spoilers, because it's not that of older programme. It's probably a year old. Huge spoilers. If you're thinking about watching Afterlife, please go do it, and don't watch the rest of this video. But if you're not, or you've seen it, you carry on. Effectively, Ricky Gervais' character loses his wife to cancer, and he can't see the point in living anymore. But he doesn't kill himself initially, because his dog walks into the bathroom when he's about to kill himself, and he needs to feed the dog, and it's just that little act of I can't leave the dog kind of thing. Anyway, he decides that if he's going to keep living, he's going to do whatever he wants, regardless of the consequences, because even if everything goes to shit, he can just kill himself, right? Very dark premise for a show. But it's actually so brilliant, because you see it glimmering along the way, but the last episode is where it really all comes to a head. There's a lot to unpack, so I'll watch it if you are interested, because I probably can't summarise it in the greatest way. In fact, I think I'm probably going to re-watch it because it's really important. But he effectively realises that just because he's hurting doesn't mean other people should be hurting as well. And one of the things he says is, even if I can't be happy right now, I can make other people happy, and I can derive happiness from that for now. Like a plaster, over a cut or something. Something to stop the hurting so much. And he realises that in his hurting, his actions still have consequences, not just for him. So, for example, for me, I feel like, and people have said this to me before, and I've always reacted very defensively, but people have said to me before that they walk on eggshells around me. I didn't have the greatest home life. This is from my perspective. My mum was a drug addict and bipolar, and later on in life she tried to do her best to make it up to me, and I would thank her for that if she wasn't dead. My dad, as much as I love him, did make mistakes. I don't think he knew how to look after a teenage girl who was pretty messed up. But I think he's trying to atone for that, which is great. It was all over the place when I was younger. I was then in an abusive relationship for 8 years, which you guys know about if you see my videos. Physical and mental abuse. And I don't know if I should really say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Before I met my ex, Rob, I was going to finish my degree, and then I was going to kill myself. And I know that's extremely probably worrying for people to hear, but it's true. I'd set out to do my degree, and after that I didn't see the point, because I didn't know where I wanted to go in life. At the time, I didn't have, at least I felt like, I didn't have anyone who loved me. Mum was dead. Wasn't was with my dad, not 100%. Grandma had schizophrenia by that point, so I didn't want to bother them with how I was feeling. And I just felt incredibly alone, and I thought, I'll achieve my degree and then I'll die, and that can be my lasting thing. I did a thing, you know. And Rob came into my life. And it was like the sun was shining again. I just don't know where this video has gone, but I'm going to carry on talking. It was like the sun shone again. And I think, and this is where I think I went wrong, in the show Afterlife, where Ricky Gervais realises that if he can make other people happy, he can be happy from that till he feels better. And I feel like since I met Rob, I buried my pain and I buried everything. That's funny because I've been through therapy and everything, but I put all my effort into making Rob happy. Because if he's happy, I feel happy. With everything I tried to do would make him happy until it was too much for me, and then everything else happened with jobs and whatnot. But I think I've spent the last 4 years trying to make someone else happy instead of trying to make myself happy. And I genuinely didn't realise this until yesterday when I watched Afterlife. And even though things ended fairly badly with Rob, I will never forget that he made the sunshine. And I hate the sunshine anyway. But I'm sitting here because he did that for me. He gave me something to fight for. And now I need to fight for myself. And I think the reason I am deriving meaning from things like Merlin is because I'm thinking about myself a lot, all the time really. And I thought it would be exhausting, but it's not. It's quite cathartic? Maybe that's the right word. Yeah, I think that's the right word. How long have I been recording? 17 minutes. If you're still here, I am sorry, because this is a very long video. But I find that when I start talking about one thing, I end up somewhere else I didn't even mean to. It's probably all related somehow. I think one thing that is good is all the pain that's inside of me. At least I can still laugh, you know? Before I end the video, I'm just going to quickly go through my experience this week with Exanti. It's very weird, eating normal food. It's extremely odd. Yeah, that was about it really. I think I've maintained. I haven't actually checked yet. I'm going to check tomorrow morning. But I think I've probably maintained. I don't know. I've never been this far before, but excuse me, starting Monday, tomorrow, I'm back on the shakes 3 times a day, and that's it. And then the week after, shakes, and then I'm going to have my poached eggs, which I'm actually going to have in the evening, because my granddad liked eating dinner with me, so he wasn't eating alone, which is nice. And we're just going to keep powering on, I guess. Yeah. I don't know where this video's gone. I hope whoever's watching this, if you got this far, don't feel too sad for me. Just think about yourself. Think about where you've come from, where you're going, what you want. Care about yourself. And I'll try to do the same, okay? And wash your hands. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Bye.